The recent assassination of a prominent South African insolvency attorney, Bouwer van Niekerk, serves as a chilling indicator of the escalating intimidation faced by legal professionals in the country who stand up against corruption. This act has been widely condemned by the legal community as a direct assault on the rule of law, and journalists investigating corruption have expressed fears of becoming targets themselves. Well, joining me in the studio is Dr. Piet Croucamp, a political analyst from Northwest University, to discuss this.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Well, Piet, thank you for being here. So in your recent article for Rapport, you wrote that corrupt politicians have blood on their hands following that assassination of Bouwer van Niekerk. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that was the headline. I didn't write the headlines, but what I was saying and perhaps insinuating is that corrupt politicians create an atmosphere and a type of space in which assassins and operate, and in which political murders proliferate in South Africa. And the reason why that happens is because almost every institution of the coercive apparatus of the state, the National Prosecuting Authority, the police, the hawks, the intelligence services, has become so depleted and so corroded that it's almost impossible for them to function efficiently. And if I take the example of the National Prosecuting Authority, several of the positions within the National Prosecuting Authority are vacant or occupied by individuals who are temporarily in that position, which has consequences for the efficiency and the work at the National Prosecuting Authority. And those people, by and large, have to be appointed by the President. You will also have noticed that the Minister of Police, the current one, Firoz Kachalia, there was a report by him on the weaknesses and corruption within the police, which was on the president's table for 2 years before the president acted on it. The Zondo Commission, the president and the ANC and the government still has not acted on Justice Zondo's recommendations. In fact, Zondo has said so at numerous occasions. He has stated very obvious, or well, he stated that it must be obvious that the lack of oversight from the National Assembly has actually allowed the executive to be complacent and to be reluctant to do what it should be doing. And this is another case of politicians not acting in the way that they should in terms of what our Constitution prescribes. And that obviously allows organized crime, petty criminals, people who operate in the value and supply chains of the economy, using coercion as a means of being competitive. It gives them all the room that they need to function and to undermine the state and undermine the Constitution of South Africa. Yeah.
So this hit on Van Niekerk in particular, do you think it's a warning to other judges or people who are prosecuting?
Everybody's been warned several times. Bouwer has been warned, but everybody else has been warned, if not explicitly, implicitly by the system, which so many people have gotten killed. So many people, the National Prosecuting Authority lost 3 people. We have only about 10, 15 people that we can name that has been murdered, been removed from society, eliminated, if you want to use the old apartheid terms. It is a minefield of violence when it comes to the investigation of corruption. And by all accounts, South Africa, the value supply chains, the economy has been thoroughly corrupted. And I think if you have to look at the roots of it, where does it originate from? Where is it conceived? I point out in the article that it has much to do with black economic empowerment, where individuals are led into the supply chains and the value chains of the economy without ever having to take a risk with one rand to make another rand, and without having been competitive in any value and supply chain. And the only way, once they are let in, they can only maintain their position through the use of violence, violence to eliminate the competitors, and violence to ensure that they are not acted upon when they are caught out. So there's and just remember that the black economic empowerment has completely moral justification. I don't doubt the moral justification of black economic empowerment. But William Gumede has said recently that about 100 individuals closely connected to the ANC has benefited to the tune of 1 trillion rand, which means the same people benefit from the same system all the time, of which the president is one. The president of South Africa is a billionaire in South African terms, and perhaps even in dollar terms, depending on what figure you work with. Forbes magazine says he's around about 6 to 7 billion rand strong. If a particular piece of legislation that's aimed at empowerment allows one individual to accrue R1 billion, it's not empowerment, it's theft. And right through the system, politically connected individuals have amassed massive wealth, a very small group of people. And of course, when their position is threatened, violence becomes an option. That's why I think General Makwenazi said that this assassinations, individuals involved in that, has connections at the highest level, even within the executive. He names, or Bekele is named in the media as having very close links to Vusi Katmatlala. Bekele was the Minister of Police for so many years. He also got links to taxi warlords in KwaZulu-Natal. Those warlords are friends of a previous president. So it goes right from the executive, through the legislature, to local government politics, provincial politics, to the value supply chains of the formal economy, the links and the relations which allow for assassinations to occur and rarely being prosecuted. You'll remember that Clute Murray and his son Thomas, there's no progress in that particular case. They've been assassinated because they also investigated insolvency cases. Nothing has happened, and I suspect that those individuals in the Hawks who are tasked to investigate it are simply too fearful to do it, because as so many people have said, once you start to investigate, once you start to ask questions, you're next on the list. Like Matipa was, who has investigated 6 members of the South African Defence Force, who was murdered, taken out. Those people appeared in court. The magistrate has given them a bail. Some of the members of the prosecuting authority I've spoken to says they think the magistrate has got a phone call because he already, as part of the bail proceedings, announced that these people there might not be enough evidence to prosecute them at all. How is that possible that with a bail hearing, such a statement can be made? But so it's now we talk about people that in the legal fraternity investigate these matters, or in the police, or in the media. But like in South America, it may end up going right to the top, to judges, magistrates, people sitting on the bench. And I think that's the big fear that we have in South Africa. I don't for a moment suggest that the magistrate did get a call. I'm simply saying that there are rumors going around that she might have gotten a call, and that already is detrimental to our understanding of the Constitution and justice and how the legal system should be operating.
Well, the buck stops with President Cyril Ramaphosa. He is the one that should act. So do you think he's unwilling or unable to act?
That's a combination of both. I don't think it's possible to manage the ANC. I don't think he's got the authority to control what's happening at local government level and at provincial level. We know that the provincial executive committees of the ANC are not only corrupt, that on some of those committees there will be people who are involved in drug cartels. They might be in the construction industry, and those cartels, they might be involved. They could be involved in organized crime at various levels. So I don't think you can control that. Letulia House can't control it. The president can't control it. And that, of course, creates the environment in which people are operating freely. And we know that under Ramaphosa, things have gotten worse in terms of almost every statistic, even worse than under Jacob Zuma, the state capture years. So the state capture years was a very specific definition of how the state has been penetrated and eventually compromised by individuals close to President Zuma. And that, to a certain extent, has provided this architecture in which there are so many corrupt individuals, so many violent individuals, so many entrepreneurs with the ability and the willingness to assassinate their competitors, that I do not think it's possible to rein this thing in. You'll have to get rid of the ANC, and even then, you have not solved the problem yet. We don't have the police force, we don't have the army, we don't have the intelligence services to eventually eradicate this. We might have to learn to live with it.
Well, a high-profile business leader like Hendrik de Tooy warned that if South Africa does not rein in crime, we could witness capital flight from the country. What are your thoughts on the potential economic implications of this?
Well, there are already a lot of capital flight in the country. I think the money that's coming in is mostly coming into the bond market because of our high interest rates. Otherwise, there's I've spoken to industry leaders in the mining industry, for instance, and they themselves have said that it's not worth investing in South Africa. They don't. You can go and look at the figures. They spend their money in the DRC. They spend their money in South America and Canada. There's already capital flight in the sense that South African companies don't reinvest in South Africa. And now with the trade war that we have with Donald Trump in America, it might just be that there will be further capital flight from South Africa. But there's nothing to encourage anybody to take the risk of coming to South Africa. Unless the ANC change certain policies, which the president doesn't have the authority to do, which the ANC fears to do, they don't have the spine to take on the master patrons operative throughout the economy and tell them that time is up, that we have to clean up the economy, clean up the state if we want to attract foreign capital, if we want to create jobs. We have 43% unemployment in terms of the extended definition. It's not going to go away unless you attract foreign capital. The Tooy is right. And there's nothing now that indicates that the ANC or the president has got a willingness or the spine or the authority to do the right thing, yeah.
Well, you're all mentioning the growing concern, that South Africa is actually becoming a Colombia or a Mexico. So, is that what we're becoming?
Yeah, it's just in South America, quite often the states are much more stronger with a lot more authoritarian type of abilities to actually manage at least parts of this the crime and organized crime that they have in those parts of the world. We sit with the problem that we might have the connective tissue within the informal economy and the formal economy of a thoroughly criminalized economic domain, but we do not have the state. Our constitution does not allow the state the type of authority to fight the fire with fire. And the ANC and the government is not organized enough and efficient enough to actually do what they should be doing. The difference between us and South America is there you have authoritarian states, here we have a democratic state. The democratic state is in a disadvantaged position when it comes to this type of phenomenon and fighting that. They have the advantage of the ability to use the military and to use a coercive police force and to act authoritarian in their efforts to manage it. And even then they find it rather difficult. A democratic state cannot manage, fight, or in some other way address the issues that we have growingly in South Africa as far as corruption and violence is concerned.
Dr. Piet Croucamp, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.